Good afternoon, everyone. Ed Oswald from EchoTop Storm Chasers with your Hurricane Matthew update for Wednesday, October 5th. Well, Matthew's getting his act back together after moving over southeastern Cuba, and right now it has 120-mile-per-hour winds. That should be back on its way up as it moves further into the Bahamas. The bad news there, that is a direct hit on that island nation there, and that is going to be happen late tonight and Thursday. But as we move into later Thursday into Friday, it'll move extremely close to Florida. Before we get into the presentation here, just remember to check out our special webpage on Matthew at www.echotopchasers.com/Matthew. We'll be updating that throughout the weekend, so give it a look. Again, www.echotopchasers.com/Matthew. Looking briefly at the warnings in text form here, we still have hurricane warnings in effect for eastern Cuba, but they're in effect for all the Bahamas and the Florida coast from Golden Beach to the Flagler Volusia County line. That's including Lake Okeechobee. If you look here, this is the National Hurricane Center's image that puts the warnings and track on there. Note those hurricane watches, which that are going from north of the Flagler Volusia County line to Fernandina Beach. But look at also the track. That's a lot different track that we talked about yesterday, and we'll get into how that's going to happen and why a little bit over the next few frames. Looking here at the next image, this is your prototype storm surge warning and watches. If they were in effect, they don't actually become an actual product until next year, summer 2017. There would be storm surge warnings from West Palm Beach northward to the Palm Coast, from Palm Coast almost to the Georgia-Florida line. There would be storm surge watches. Basically, these have been out there to show what the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center and NOAA plan to do next year. They've done real well, so it's a good thing to see. And if you're in those prototype warnings on the coast, be really careful, because there could be storm surge flooding here over the next 24 to 72 hours or so there on the Florida coast. Looking at the visible satellite loop, we do have a little bit of a bad frame there. I apologize for that, but you can see the storm is now making its way slowly but surely away from the southeastern Cuban coast, moving northwest. Still here, a little bit of disruption here on the inflow, and that's because they're in the mountains here. These are the highest mountains in the Caribbean, upwards of 10,000 feet in places. So that's going to disrupt that storm from getting real tight, and that's why I don't think Category 5 is possible, because once you get northward, we're going to deal with some shear, which I'm going to show you that in a moment as well, and there's just not enough time for the storm to strengthen. But still, if you're on the Big Island here in the Bahamas or in Nassau itself, the capital, this is going to be a rough go of things over the next 24 hours. Your conditions definitely later tonight will start to deteriorate rapidly. Thursday's the real bad day before we have to start worrying about Florida later. I'm going to show you here the rainbow infrared. I like this because it actually helps to show those high cold cloud tops a little better, and that's what we want to see all the way around the center. You see it really, it was really disrupted there from moving over land, but now it's starting to expand again here, especially on this northern side where we don't have a lot of clouds and convection, and we normally see a lot better symmetry and stronger storms. But this is certainly promising for strengthening. It's not a good thing at all for these islands here. I mean, really, the Bahamas are taking a direct hit, possibly by a Category 4 hurricane, maybe 130, 140 mile an hour winds, somewhere around there. Next image, indeed, that wind shear that we were talking about. And what I want to show you here is something neat that happens sometimes. This area right here is where Matthew is located. Stronger storms really have a habit, I guess you could call it, of creating a more favorable environment for themselves. You can see to the north here, these are these westerlies, and then we're getting into the fall months where those westerlies get very strong. Those there are moving at 40 to 70 knots, and that will easily shear off the tops of cloud tops and prevent strengthening, but at least down in the area where it needs it, and that could be because of the strength of this storm itself. It's creating a positive environment. So I'm doing in my forecast at least a little bit of extra room for strengthening. So I'm really looking at a Category 4, 130 to 140 mile an hour winds at most here, which is very close to what the National Hurricane Center is. I think I might be a little more bullish than them, but with the way this hurricane season is going, it seems like we've been a little bit conservative at times, and every time that's happened, Mother Nature has kind of surprised us. Next one here we're going to look at is the actual tracks of these storms. The storm rather, Matthew. And what we're going to look at here is how close this is going to get to Florida. And I mean, you look at this guidance and it's tightly packed. You're looking at a track that is very, 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 very close, even if you draw right in the middle there, to the coast. And what's going to happen here, and what we really need to be concerned with, is that if there's any movement to the west, the conditions will get worse on the Florida coast, or possibly landfall, which the National Hurricane Center has talked a lot about. If you move east, and even if you're 50 or 60 miles east of that high wall, and that storm is also off the coast of Florida, those coastal cities won't see as much. I don't really think the storm is going to have a broad area of very strong winds. It's going to be tightly packed together. It's not a big storm. It's an average storm, so it's not one of those bigger storms that we've been used to in recent times. But Hermine got very big, and there's other ones, but this one should be a little more compact. So I'm really kind of doubting that we're going to see any kind of big wind field. But as we move here into the later moments, you can see that some of these models are trying to start to curve it back, and almost in some cases here, and I believe that looks like it's the UK model, actually takes it a full loop and basically back into West Palm Beach. Will that happen? We don't know, but that is something that we definitely have to watch, and some of these models are hinting at. And I'm going to just put this back a little bit here so we can start from the beginning and watch this. This is the GFS from 7 a.m. this morning, and you can see that, watch it as it Thursday and Friday, it's almost on the coast, and before it turns sharply east there once we get into Monday. But you can see we're in Monday here, and even in Monday, I want to point out here, Nicole is still a factor. You have a high pressure here, and this is kind of causing some erratic movement, what we wouldn't expect in that area, I should say, of Matthew. And as I continue it, if you want to look at the GFS solution, that also sends it back towards the Gulf of Mexico and over West Palm Beach. So will that happen? I don't know, but I just want to point out again, as we move it back here one more time, is just look at this from all the way, I'm looking here, it would be Friday, early morning, and then it's all along the coast up until the early hours of Saturday. So it's a 24-hour period or more of the entire coast of Florida just being battered by possibly a Category 3 hurricane. And so that really what we need to worry about here is where that storm is going to be. I mean, you look at this, if you even be back here on our webpage again, but it shows that image. Look at those dots. That's where they think the eye of the storm will be and how close it is there. I mean, it's going to be a really difficult forecast, but we're going to start updating our videos starting tomorrow, at least twice a day, and more as needed. As soon as it gets close to the Florida coast, of course, we'll be updating on our Facebook page. That's www.facebook.com/EchoTopChasers, and the same here with our website, www.echotopchasers.com/Matthew. We'll have all that information there too. I know this has been a longer video than what we normally do, but I wanted to get through a lot of information and try to give you the best look that we could at this point. Sorry that we changed the forecast, but as I said, coming out there past those 3 to 5 days, sometimes these storms do surprising things. So until next time, I'm Ed Oswald, and we'll talk to you again soon.